Hello friends, welcome to my channel, Recap Stories. Today, we discuss the story of a character named Jay, a hero who is the offspring of a prominent entrepreneur. Jay desires to lead his life without relying on his family. With this objective, he decides to leave home. Outside, he envisions a future where he can make his own decisions, but in his ignorance, he becomes absorbed in leisure and extravagant expenditures. Jay borrows money from numerous individuals and spends it on gambling in horse races, but this habit leads him to ruin. As soon as all the family savings are depleted, Jay comes to the realization that he has made grave mistakes. He takes up the job of cleaning at a mental health facility. One day, feeling the urge to drink, he heads to a tavern. At the bar, a man approaches him, demanding the repayment of money Jay owes him. Jay apologizes and explains that he doesn't have the money at the moment but promises to repay soon. The man refuses to accept his excuses and gives him a deadline of 10 days, threatening him with death if the debt is not settled. In a state of worry, Jay attempts to borrow money from his co-workers, but their pay is far less than what he requires, and they refuse. Jay then thinks about seeking his father's assistance but, due to his pride, he refrains from asking. Eventually, in desperation, he calls his father. When talking to his father, Jay lies, stating that he holds a prestigious position and even has a girlfriend. He requests his father's help to start a small enterprise. His father invites him to attend his brother's wedding, saying they will discuss the details afterward. Jay, unsure of how to create the illusion of a girlfriend, asks the nurses at the hospital to play along and pretend to be his girlfriend for a couple of days. Jay is a careless and immature individual who squanders his wealth on drinking, gambling, and betting on horse races. Because of his reckless behavior, no girl is willing to be his girlfriend. One day, the senior doctor at the hospital reprimands him harshly for offering alcohol to a patient. The senior doctor warns him that if he continues acting irresponsibly with patients, he will be fired. After being scolded, Jay silently walks away. Meanwhile, a new patient, Daisy, is admitted to the hospital. Daisy, the heroine of the story, has been mute since her mother's death and is often fearful. She whispers repeatedly, "My mother will harm me." The doctors, after evaluating her condition, conclude that she is suffering from extreme mental distress and needs to stay in the hospital for further care. One evening, just as Jay is about to leave after his shift, he hears a scream from Daisy's room. Rushing there, he catches a fraudulent doctor attempting to administer medication to Daisy. Jay confronts him and forces him out, warning Daisy that she should only trust the real doctors in the hospital. Later, as Jay leaves the hospital, Daisy follows him. Jay tries to explain that she should not follow him because if the hospital staff sees her, he will be in trouble. Jack gives Daisy some money to go home, but Daisy doesn't care. Feeling exhausted, Jack takes her to a club to leave her alone for a while. At the club, Jack talks to a dancer to convince her to be his girlfriend, but at the same time, he is told that Daisy is disturbing the other dancers. Jack quickly goes outside and finds Daisy arguing with everyone. Bouncers throw both Jack and Daisy out of the club. In anger, Jack yells at Daisy, asking why she is sticking with him and causing trouble. Suddenly, Jack has an idea. He asks Daisy if she is willing to be his girlfriend for 2 days. Daisy agrees. The next day, Jack gets her ready and takes her to his brother's wedding. On the way, Jack tells her to stay silent about any family questions and not to act childishly. He says, "This is just for 2 days, just stay with me." Once on the flight, Daisy starts acting out. She opens her seatbelt, turns the overhead light on and off, goes to the bathroom, and locks herself inside, refusing to come out. A while later, she sits in the business class seat without permission. Finally, the flight lands, and Jack takes her home. Jack's mother is delighted to see Daisy and says, "Well, at least you've done one good thing in life, you've chosen a good girl." She takes Daisy inside and tells her to freshen up. Jack goes outside to smoke, when his father asks him, "Son, how is independent life going?" Jack replies, "It's going fine, Dad." Then, he shows his father his new cars. In the evening, the whole family sits down to dinner. Jack's mother has dressed Daisy beautifully. During dinner, Jack asks his father for money for his business. His father says, "It's wedding time, we'll talk about it later." But Daisy supports Jack and says, "Jack's business idea is very good. If you listen, you will definitely support it." Hearing this, Jack's father softens a bit but says, "We'll talk about it after the wedding." After dinner, Jack thanks Daisy for supporting him. The next morning, Jack's mother sees Daisy cleaning and calls Jack to show him. Jack asks in surprise, "Why are you doing this?" Daisy replies, "My mom used to say, if you do good things, people will like you." Later, they all prepare for the wedding, but Daisy doesn't have a nice dress. Jack's mother gives her a beautiful dress. Daisy looks stunning in it, and Jack is amazed by how beautiful she looks. At the church, Daisy behaves like a child, running around and playing with the flowers. Jack tells her to stop acting like that. During the wedding, Jack's ex-girlfriends start bothering Daisy. During the dance, Daisy enjoys herself, but when slow music plays, she doesn't know how to dance. Jack teaches her, and they dance happily together. Jack's father, dancing with Daisy, asks, "Son, tell me the truth, what is Jack doing?" Overwhelmed by the questions, Daisy starts to feel uncomfortable. Jack quickly takes her outside. Jack's father gets angry and says, "What is he doing? You've deceived us." Daisy feels hurt by this and starts to return the necklace Jack's mother had given her. Jack's mother stops her and says, "This is a gift from me, keep it." Jack's father and mother start arguing, and Daisy can't tolerate it and screams loudly. Everyone falls silent, and Daisy returns the necklace and leaves. Back home, Jack tells Daisy, "We need to get out of here immediately." He picks a carbon car from his father's collection. Daisy says, "I like this carbon." Jack responds, "Fine, we'll go in this one." They leave. Everything inside the car was amazing. Daisy is very happy because she never imagined living like this. Her mother had never allowed her to go outside, which is why she was so unaware of the world. As soon as she leaves the house, the innocent child inside her awakens. She jumps on the bed and peeks through the window. On the way, Jack tells her that he will make a call and asks her to wait at the bus stand. Actually, he is trying to get rid of Daisy. He meets a man to sell the carbon car, but the man is suspicious and says, "This is a very expensive car. It might be stolen." He refuses to buy it. Meanwhile, Daisy waits at the stand, but Jack doesn't return. The stand is almost empty when a guard approaches and asks, "Are you waiting for someone?" Daisy sadly replies, "Yes, for my boyfriend, he went to make a call." The guard says, "Hurry up and leave." On the other side, Jack gets a call from the chief doctor of a mental hospital. The doctor angrily says, "Where have you taken Daisy? She has never left the house. She doesn't even wear shoes because she doesn't know they're necessary. Bring her back immediately or I'll report to the police." Jack looks at the shoes lying in the carbon and becomes anxious. Meanwhile, Daisy asks a guard for help, but as soon as she hears Jack's voice, she becomes emotional. She says, "Did you make your calls? Never leave me alone again." Jack grumbles, "Fine, I won't leave you again." He takes Daisy back to the carbon and leaves. On the way, he stops at a supermarket and tells Daisy, "Buy whatever you need." But hearing a police car outside, he gets nervous and quickly leaves. The police chase them, but Jack speeds up and escapes. After some time, Jack stops the car and asks Daisy, "Can you drive?" Daisy innocently replies, "Yes, but I don't know how to drive." Jack looks at her with irritation and says, "Great, nice answer." He tries to sleep and tells Daisy, "Wake me up in 5 hours." After some time, Daisy wakes him up and says, "You were making strange noises, like a baby snoring." Jack angrily says, "Why didn't you tell me that earlier?" At that moment, Daisy mentions that the police might be nearby from the supermarket. Jack tells her to hide and himself hides in the car. The police ask Daisy, "Did you see the thief of this car?" Daisy cleverly replies, "My boyfriend ran towards the forest." The police go towards the forest, and Jack takes Daisy and leaves. Then, Daisy pulls the police car's key out and throws it away, telling Jack about it. Both quickly escape from there. After traveling a considerable distance, They arrive at a place where some other people are staying in their cabins. They ask for permission and use their cabin's bathroom. A woman, who is a resident of that cabin, says to Daisy, "This is my daughter, she's asleep right now. If she wakes up, she will cause a lot of trouble. By the way, are you both married? How many children do you have?" Upon hearing this, Daisy wonders what it would be like if they had a child of their own. In fact, she longs for a complete family. They both then rest and sleep there. Later that night, Jay comes to Daisy. Daisy asks him, "Your ex-girlfriends used to say you were a big playboy. What does that mean?" Jay quickly replies, "Oh no, it means I'm really good at playing games, that's why they called me a playboy." Jay cleverly deflects the question. The next day, they continue their journey. Along the way, they visit many beautiful places, have a lot of fun, and enjoy delicious food. Daisy happily says, "This is the best day of my life. Could we always travel like this?" Jay laughs and responds, "Good idea, but who will bear the travel expenses? I already have a lot of debts, and people are after me for money." Daisy innocently asks, "What is debt?" Jay explains, "Debt means you owe money to someone and need to pay it back." Daisy immediately says, "If I had money, I would give it all to you. I'm not really interested in handling money." Jay is touched by Daisy's caring attitude and starts to like her even more. Later, during the journey, Jay stops the car and says, "Let me teach you how to drive, so you can drive as well and make it easier for me." But just then, Jay receives a call from the doctor, who asks, "When are you bringing Daisy back?" Jay replies, "We're almost at the hospital." Daisy overhears this and panics, thinking Jay is going to take her back to the mental hospital. Before Jay can leave, Daisy starts the car and begins driving herself because she doesn't want to go back to the hospital. Jay runs after the car, asking her to stop, but Daisy has already learned a little driving by watching Jay. Eventually, she crashes into another car, and the cabin stops. Jay angrily asks, "What are you doing?" Daisy starts crying. "Are you going to leave me again?" she asks in panic. Jay calms her down by taking her to a restaurant and says, "What happened to you? Tell me about your life." Daisy shares her story, saying, "My mother used to get very angry and would suddenly start shouting. She behaved strangely, and I was really scared to be around her. One day, she became violent, and I didn't go near her. The next day, when she calmed down, I went to her, only to find that she had passed away." Hearing this, Jay says, "Are you crazy? You never left your house, so you don't know much about the world. And you are not responsible for your mother's death, so don't blame yourself." Daisy hesitates and asks, "Then why did you want to take me back to the hospital?" "I'm not crazy." Jay responds, "Look, I originally wanted to take you to the hospital, but now I don't want to be apart from you. Wherever you are, however you are, I will always like you." With that, Jay lovingly kisses Daisy. Jay had kissed many girls before, but this was Daisy's first experience. She feels strange, and her heart starts racing. Then, the police arrive and arrest Jay. He doesn't try to escape but just looks at Daisy. Daisy watches him silently, and then the police take him to the mental hospital. The scene then shifts, and Jay's mother says to his father, "Jay is in jail. Don't you care? You should show some responsibility for him. Don't you remember you were once irresponsible too and ended up in jail? Your father had to get you out of there." Saying this, Jay's mother leaves. In the next scene, Jay's parents come to bail him out. His father takes Jay to their apartment with a slight smile. When Jay enters, he sees that everything has been broken. Downstairs, the same person from whom Jay had borrowed money is standing. This person chases Jay when he sees him, but Jay manages to escape and runs straight to the mental hospital. Jay wants to meet Daisy, but the chief doctor doesn't allow him to. Without Daisy, Jay feels like his life is incomplete, so he goes to the railway tracks and lies down. The security guards see him and take him back to the hospital. The doctor tells Jay, "I know you're acting, you're not crazy yet, but we can't discharge you immediately." Jay responds, "I've tried to commit suicide, so I can't be discharged right away." I'll stay here today, and by the way, you can't keep Daisy here because she's not crazy. Her mother had the mental issues. The doctor asks, didn't Daisy tell you this? Jay says, yes. That night, Jay stays in the hospital, and the man who lent Jay money sneaks into the hospital and starts to harm him. But at that moment, a patient attacks the man and saves Jay. The next day, the doctor tells Jay, you were right. Actually, Daisy's mother had psychological issues, which caused her to hear unusual sounds and see visions that weren't real. That's why she would suddenly react in strange ways. Even in this state, Daisy's mother raised her. Some people brought Daisy here, thinking she was mad because she wouldn't talk to anyone. The doctor continued, now that you know the truth, please discharge Daisy from the hospital. The doctor then said, I still need to run a few more tests before we can discharge her. The doctor spoke to Daisy, do you like Jay? Daisy replied, I'm not sure, but I like him a lot. The doctor asked, before this, you never left your house, nor have you ever been in love, so how do you know what love is? Daisy questioned, sir, please tell me, have you ever loved anyone? The doctor answered, yes, I loved my wife, but we are now divorced. Daisy remained silent for a moment, then said, you still love your wife a lot, don't you? I can see it in your eyes. When you are in love, you only see love, nothing else. The doctor was very moved by her response and realized that Daisy wasn't just normal, but also wise. Jay and Daisy were packing their clothes as they were about to be discharged. Then Jay received a check sent by his father, along with a letter that read, use this money to pay off your debt and come home soon. Jay was very happy and went to say goodbye to the other patients. Daisy also said goodbye to everyone and watched Jay. They both looked at each other, came closer, kissed each other, and with that, the film ended. How did you like the story? Please make sure to leave a comment below. I request you to help me reach 10,000 subscribers on my channel soon. We hope you will like this video and give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for your loving comments. See you in the next video.